Today we're in Psalm 107, and I briefly want to share one more thought with you today. We left off in verse 15 about praising God yesterday and sharing God's wonderful works to the children of men. So we pick it up in verse 16 today. For he hath broken the gates of brass and cut the bars of iron asunder. Now, this is kind of an unfolding of the verses 10 through 15, where we talked about the person sitting in darkness under the shadow of death, a sentence of death, someone imprisoned in affliction, and iron. So behind iron gates and iron bars and maybe in iron chains, having rebelled against God, the fall, those that are condemned. We talked about the gospel and all this. But in verse 16, the praise that's given to God in verse 15 is because God has broken the gates of brass and cut the bars of iron in sunder. Now, I think there's a literal application here. I think there are stories in ancient Israel that were exactly that. God breaking apart iron and metal and setting his people free and breaking them free from prison and from bondage and from slavery and from exile. And then there's certainly a gospel application to the fact that I was in prison to sin and condemnation with a death sentence, and God broke through that with grace. And Jesus broke the bars of death and broke the gates of death. And death is not the final victory because of Jesus. Jesus is the final and ultimate victor, and he conquers it all. But here's the thought I want to give you today. And that is, he still breaks gates of brass, and he still cuts through the bars of iron. He still does impossible things. He's still a miracle-working, mountain-moving, impossibility-breaking God. In fact, that's when he most gets glory. That's when he's most attracted to impossibilities, to things that are well beyond your reach or your ability, things that you can never do. He loves to do things in you and through you. Now, this is really the catch, what I want you to catch today. Through you, okay? He wants to do things through you that you and other people look at and go, that was not you. That was God. That was God. Let me tell you something. That's why I love pastoring Emmanuel Baptist Church. Because what God has done at our church and what God is doing at our church is not me. It is not you. Now, God's using us, okay? Yes, he's using us like a carpenter will use a hammer and a saw, but he's the master builder. He is the designer. He's the executor. He's the one doing the miracles. He's the one changing the hearts and lives. He's the one that's restored his church and is restoring his school. He's the one that has provided and sustained and strengthened. He's the one that is just unfolding miracle after miracle. And we know that. I know it's not me. You know it's not me. We know it's not us. We're a part of it. We're a part of the process. We get to be co-laborers, but we're in the easy side of the yoke. He's doing the heavy lifting. And so we celebrate that we still serve a miracle-working, impossibility-performing God. Now, here's where I want you to personalize this. What is happening in your life right now that you just say, God will never do that? That'll never happen. Don't ever say never, okay? He can change it that fast. He can turn it on a dime. It can all change instantaneously, dramatically, rapidly. He can change the circumstances. That's one reason we never despair. That's one reason we never get despairing of life or suicidal or I just can't do this anymore. You can always take another step. You can always live another day, and you're one day closer to God showing you how he's going to break through the gates of brass and cut the bars of iron. You might be up against a wall, but God is going to get you through that wall. One day you're going to look back and say, wow, the wall is gone. Where'd the wall go? It's gone. You'll turn around, it'll be behind you, and you're not even going to be sure how you got there. But you're going to say, wow, God did that. Oh my goodness, look what God did. And your faith is going to grow, and you're going to be stronger, and you're going to have experienced God personally in your life in a way that you can stand back and say, only God could have done that. Only God could have done that. Many of you know I just was able to partner with Moody Publications to release a book called Stop Trying. It released in January, and it is being distributed now through the publisher. That book, and I don't know if I've told you the whole story on this podcast. I know I haven't told the whole church the story. 2 years ago, I took a walk with God. I didn't have an open door for publishing. I didn't want to start a self-publishing effort, and I just laid it down with God. I said, God, I don't know if you want me to write or not. I know you want me to pastor my church. I know you want me to teach your word. I know you want me to love my church family and try to develop and bless other leaders. I know that, and I'm going to do those things because those are the doors that are open to me, but I don't see a writing door open to me. So other than my blog and my weekly emails to my church family, I'm just not even going to think about writing another book. I'm not going to do that unless you open a door. So God, I said this verbally. I said, God, if you want me to write, open a door. And until you do, I'm totally content just following you. I'm happy with my life. I'm happy with your will. I'm at peace. You fulfill me. You satisfy my longings. Writing doesn't make me something else. It doesn't fulfill me. If it's a ministry you want me to pursue, I'll pursue it. My friend, 2 weeks later, the impossible happened. Without an agent, without any professional contacts in the world of global publishing, a mainstream publisher reached out to me and said, we would like a book proposal, and would you consider partnering with us? Now that was impossible. I had to step back and say, God did that. Only God could have done that. There's no way this door opened except for God. It's wonderful when God does that. I look at the miracles of Emmanuel for the last 8.5 years, and the big miracles of Emmanuel. Without question, I look back and I say, God did that. Only God could have done that. He gets all the credit. He gets all the glory. I am a weak, pathetic vessel. It was him that did it. He did it. And my friend, he loves to do that. He will do that for you. In fact, verse 16, he's already done it. It's just a matter of experiencing it. The victory that he's going to give you is really already won. He's just going to show it to you. He's going to bring it about in your life. I don't know what brass, what gates, what walls, what bars you're looking at that are blocking you from moving forward in life in what you feel might be a God-led direction. But I know this, if God is in it, he's going to clear the path. He's going to make a way. It's what he does. He goes before us and he makes the crooked places straight. So that is enough for today. Anticipate God making a way for you. And when he does, give him the glory. Point it out. Point to him and say, folks, I didn't do this. This was only God. And when you're going to give him the glory, you're right in line with experiencing some things that only he can do.